We are live. Tonight we have moved our schedule a bit to Sunday, just so that Annie could make it be a bit more stress-free for the new
Uh,
year. And I'm just so excited for today's topic. Our live. Tonight we have moved our schedule a bit to Sunday, just so that
We're live.
Echo, echo, echo.
stress-free for the new year.
Uh,
And I'm just so excited for
Yeah.
tonight we have moved our
Wow. We're looping back.
I have like sound
uh,
coming out of everywhere. Can you hear me here?
Yeah.
yes.
I can't hear you.
Is it really you?
Hello.
Okay,
Wow.
so let me see what I
Looping back.
can do. I have like sound
Uh,
coming out of everywhere. Um, okay, hopefully this works.
Mm.
Yeah?
so
So
far, so
sorry for
good.
technical
Yeah, so far
issues.
so good.
Yeah, we just have to like edit this part out. So we are live. So forgive us on the technical issues. I'm still trying to get there. Today the topic is going to be about New Year resolution, and what inspired me to come about with this topic is that naturally every New Year, just before the clock strikes midnight, I will sit down with a journal and a pen, and I'll go, what would I like to achieve this year, right? But every year, I know it is like maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it. No, actually, for longer sustainability, I did survive. I'm like try to do it for 3 months to achieve my New Year resolution goals, and it is really hard. It is really hard. I mean, part of the reason why it was not achieved in the first place was because it was difficult. And then now forcing myself to try and go through it again, just give myself a lot of stress. And when I was thinking about the stress, and one day a client came in and he absolutely hates New Year. He felt like New Year, why is there such a big sensation around New Year, like why everybody goes about setting out New Year goals when the sun still rises in the east, sets in the west. Like, what is there to be different? He's gonna wake up in his same bed. He still has his life to live, but the stress because everybody just like, oh, it's New Year, new energy, New Year, new energy. We have to do new things. We have to do something different. So he was extremely stressed. So I'm not too sure about you both. Did you all go about writing New Year resolutions?
Ooh, I mean, this year was a interesting start just because sort of middle of December I got sick and it just lingered on through to New Year's as well. So my New Year's, I was taking it pretty easy. And actually, I did a lot of my reflecting and planning for the new year. Thankfully in November, so I I was like, okay, I'm chilling for now, a change of plans. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit frustrating actually to feel like I can't like just get on with the things that I was planning for and I'm like, lower on energy and tired and trying to recover mainly. Um, yeah, so that was like my New Year's so far. But generally speaking, or at least because I'm in Asia, right? So I kind of like to consider New Year's the gap between the solar calendar that we do and Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year. So I'll take that entire like 1 month-ish period, depending on because it changes every year. But I just use that as my transition time to feel like, okay, I'm transitioning during this time into the new year.
That's a really good plan. That's a really good plan. I may want to adopt that because I'm also in Asia, Singapore.
Yeah, it's instead of like boom, all of a sudden it's New Year, you gotta get everything like going all at once. I'm like, let me take some time to, sort myself out.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you. What about you, Annie?
Hmm. I was not necessarily one to write a New Year's resolution on paper. It took me a while, and then I've done it for fun. And then over the years, because my husband is also not a to-do list, but this year we have done it. I came back from Canada later than on January 3rd, so we did it a little bit later, which I find it like actually this is good. Like give yourself time. I think the way you do it, Sydney, is like really. I think this is genius. Taking some time to think about it and not rushing things and making sure you're already stressing out. It's like everything has to come out of your brain and it's not necessarily the things of the heart. So
Mm.
this year I wrote down, you know what I mostly did this year? I did something different. I realized that over the years, it's not just the New Year's Eve. It's sometimes I'm good at making a list very long and too much is too much is too much sometimes. So I think less is more. I decided to, you know what, all those books before I buy my new book, any new books, I'm gonna read a few of them. Like not all of them. I'm not gonna put pressure on myself, but I have so many books that are waiting for me. I have so many programs that I bought, exercises or things that I wanted to do already years ago, and I'm gonna finish up. So this year, my to-do list is finish and not
Mm.
starting new because I'm really good at that. Like I'm curious. I like to, oh, this looks cool, and then I
Yeah, there's
finish.
always that latest trend, new discovery, and all that. Oh, actually, before we start, let me open the circle.
Oh,
Yes. So just connecting heart to heart, sending so much love to everyone around Earth, around our solar system, to the galaxy, to the universe, inviting all the sentient brothers and sisters, celestials, and all joining us today to come and support us on a YouTube live and then chime in if they want to, or if you want to. I declare the circle open. Yeah, so I was definitely thinking about what are some of the reasons why it is so hard and so difficult to achieve our New Year resolution. And naturally, I did some reflection and then also Google search. And a lot of people say that some of the goals may be unrealistic. Did you set a goal that is like run 10 kilometers every day? It's like bodily, we may not be able to do so. But what was interesting for me as I was, quiet and thinking about this, and then a little voice came into my head and said that, have we ever considered how some of the past lives, traumas that was stems from the past life could impact our lives now and therefore sabotaging us? And I thought back a little, I was like, okay, one clear example would be if I have a weight loss goal, right? And that is about limiting the food and about not having to take a lot of food. And in one of my past life, I was starved to death. Why would I put myself into the traumatic memory again of running out of food and starving to death, for example, right? So that was one of the reasons I was like, wow, that if we expand upon this and unpack this, there is actually a lot of us who didn't even realize that there's some unknown energies, unknown stories, unknown subconscious inside us that's saying that no, don't do this, don't do this. So that's something that I thought, wow, is worth unpacking for a lot of people.
Mhm.
mm,
I mean, with that example as well, just biologically speaking, the body uh, wouldn't have any reason in the past to try to let go of weight more than keep it on. The higher risk would be of running out of food, not of having too many calories in your body. So it just makes sense that more of our adaptations, even psychologically, lean towards don't starve to death. Make sure we've got plenty of energy to use because um, in that instance, basically all of the previous lifetimes of different animals and humanity as well would have, it's like every person would have at some point needed to use the stored energy in the body. But then now it's like we don't even think about like saving food for the winter for a lot of us. It's like you can still access food, you can still go to the grocery store, you can stock your own pantry very easily without worrying about what's going on with the with the harvest locally if you're in a first world country, unless you're explicitly checking up on the sort of global supply chain of food. It's not really something that we might pay attention to other than the fluctuation of like grocery store prices.
So that's really interesting because when you were talking about that, it reminded me of one case we did recently
Mm.
about so unknowns to us, and it was after we did the session that the parents told us that he is always planning food and the route to get to the food. So
Mm-mm.
there is always like a very detailed, like in the morning he'll wake up, he'll be thinking about like what are we gonna have for breakfast, what are we gonna have for lunch, what are we gonna have for dinner, and then he likes to plan the routes. So we didn't know about this except that when they came to see us, he was very reluctant to travel, and the family really want to do some family planned trips to go somewhere. And then he's always there like, no, you guys go ahead, and they're like, but you're a family and we like you to be part of it, right? And so when we tuned into the energy, specifically looking for an energy that is wanting to stay and not welcoming change or welcoming travel, one of the past life as a bear came forward.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I thought that was so interesting. Because as a bear, he went into hibernation and he went back to his usual hunting spot.
Yep.
And that was when, because it was probably summer, and then there was a lot of insect infestation, and he got poisoned by one of the insect bites, and then he died. So then the trauma that was in his head was that, see, this is what happened when you leave home.
When
Somebody
you
else,
leave your food and someone else comes in and ruins everything.
yeah, and then you
Yeah.
die, right? So then, of course, unbeknownst to him in this life, right? Like he just knows, no, we're not leaving home, we're guarding everything. And then somehow that's related to food, related to like not traveling. So yeah, so just imagine if that is one of his New Year resolution, I want to travel more, right? I
Mm.
want new experiences. And then it was such a major struggle for him, no matter how much positive affirmation, like you're gonna get new experiences, build family relationship, all that. And then there's subconscious, like, no, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's so stressful.
It is, right? So yeah, that was one of a very interesting case. So yeah, relating it back to New Year resolution. So I was sharing with y'all, right? Like when we tend to put the categories of New Year resolution tend to be new experiences, health and fitness, um, building relationships, financial goals, personal development. Yeah, good. Right? So these are some of the things that we don't realize that we set all these goals to want to achieve something, but then it's so hard to do that without overcoming ourselves psychologically.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
isn't it sometimes like self-sabotage or the soul who wants somehow to bring you forward, not to trigger, but necessarily remind you that, this is something that you're not stepping in your grace, or, you're not be able to face. And so I'm thinking about like self-sabotage, wanting to change, but not be able to do that because less energy. And
Mm.
sometimes you really want to change. You can't, you say, I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 6, depending, getting up earlier so you can go at the gym or be at the gym or do the exercises. Okay, that's the idea. Or do breath work or do the meditation, whatever you want. So it's just, and not be able to do that.
Mm,
Very often we find out by some, I don't have a specific case, maybe if you do have a memory or you recall, just bring it up.
Mm.
But very often, like there's this energy holding you back, like very often safety, do not get up
yeah.
outside or do not like stay safe,
Mhm.
Yeah.
survival mode and try not to change or
Or
Yeah.
even like if you're successful, what comes with success? And that
Hmm.
is scary. I have some other clients that I don't think it was channeled by both of you, but it was worked on somewhere else where they are famous, they are well known, they're successful, and then they were then, I guess, inviting jealousy, betrayal, and therefore it's just too painful. The success came with too much pain. So therefore, self-sabotaging, not wanting to be outstanding, not wanting to be a leader, uh, is a very common theme. And I think that's one of the first cases where both of you worked on, right? Where there was this client in Indonesia, uh,
Didn't want leadership. Yeah.
who refused to have leadership because of
Yeah.
failure, right? So yeah, there's a lot of past lives trauma that we can't remember because this we were supposed to come with a veil that we don't remember um, those incidents of who we are in those past life, but the energy of the trauma remains. So we seem to think that, oh, like by default, we all want to be better and we want to work towards success. But the downside of being successful, inviting jealousy, betrayal, taking on too much more than what you can take because you're so successful, they keep giving you responsibility and giving you a lot of things to do. And then you work yourself to death, for example, in the past.
Mm.
So, so these are these things that we don't realize. But what is interesting is that because we don't achieve our goals that we set for ourselves, we blame ourselves and we get more angry with ourselves and we just even sink deeper into lack of self-love because it's
Hmm.
like, how can I not achieve what I'm supposed to achieve? Right?
Yeah. I think what's often interesting with New Year's and New Year's resolution is that it's for a lot of people, at least when I observe myself and those around me, we tend to have a bit of an aggressive approach, right? And when you think about the things that you just, before you realize that you're doing, like getting into a new show, and then before you know it, you're like, oh, every week at this time when it comes on, then I'll go and watch it, or a new hobby with your friends, and before you know it, you start to just fall into a pattern of doing that thing. Those changes are usually quite gentle, and it's just the natural evolution of your interest and focus leads you to do it more and more consistently. But then when we look at New Year's stuff, I feel like even with myself, um, I try to watch when I'm doing this. It's like on the one hand, there'll be things that I'm interested in adding to my life or changing. And I have to be careful about not trying to bulldoze what I'm currently doing right now because that's
Hmm.
when I'm going to trigger up all of these types of resistances and bring out all of the anxieties that could be related to, what you're saying.
Mm.
That ultimately boils down to whatever might have hurt us even in a past life. So, it's like if it's a health thing for me, because I've had health goals in the past that have gone quite well, it's been a process of doing it really quite slowly, the same way that you might just naturally get into a particular interest or spending time with friends, where I just try to make it as interesting and entertaining for myself as possible, and just focus on enjoying the process and not making humongous changes all at once to my life. And it's so tempting sometimes because the part of you that wants to like create all of these new experiences and change is fighting the part of you that's like change is really dangerous and it could kill you. Um, so yeah, it's kind of this like thread the needle
Mm,
thing with New
yeah.
Year's resolutions or just change work in general sometimes.
Yeah, I really like what you said, about introducing it very gently. Like before you know it, it becomes a habit and you have overcome all the resistance. Yeah. Annie, did
This
you
is this is how I function also with my clients. If we're changing postural habits, or reminding them how to say, yeah, thank you, Deep.
Everyone's just like, oh crap, yes.
So this I usually said, I heard that once and I thought the idea was good. It's like 1% a day. So in 100 days, if you don't succeed today, it's okay because you have another percent today. As you more and more, it's all about also awareness. So the awareness, because you have to think about it every day. So you bring it on and it mostly in throughout the day. So it goes slowly by slowly and eventually it becomes naturally. And so, like you said, Sydney, not aggressive and respecting also that it's a process and not something you have to win or you have to fight for. Um, and it's mostly integrating.
Mm,
So, yes,
yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, like, how are you going to start finishing the library of books you have there, Annie?
I'm going to start with one book at a time and have fun with it.
Would it be
And
one page at a time first?
I used to think like one book a week, one book a month, and then eventually it's like, okay, how about a couple of pages every day, and leaving it like right next to my bed, so I have to see it before I put my phone down, so it could be charged, so I will see it. If I
Have
don't
you
see it, this
Yeah, exactly. If you don't see it, it doesn't come to mind.
the thing is like I'm mostly always sending out and I have my hands on people or I'm training with them or so I can't read that time. I'm always on my feet. Especially or now this is an example where I sit down, but mostly I'm always up. So I usually read best when I am in a metro or maybe a bus. But if I'm driving, it's not the face. Like, okay, so podcast would be a good action. But I like to work the muscles of my eyes still.
Yeah. So, just going along with this topic, right? Like the self-sabotage that came about because there were some traumas that we are not aware of. If we link
Mm.
back to ourselves, right? Um, I'm not too sure. If I put you to the test, right? Like, okay, what are those resolutions we put out there and not achieve? And then what is a possible past life trauma that may have caused it?
Mm.
Resolution that is not achieved.
Mm. I have a lot of resolutions not achieved. I'll be the
I'll
first.
have to
Mm.
check my documents.
You have to check. It should be the
So,
top of
okay,
my
Let me
so
head.
check the
No, but I
tracking.
do have one. Like I
uh,
have like many videos that I got a couple of years ago, and I thought like, okay, I'm gonna watch it a little bit every day. But I came back and I'm so tired, and I sometimes I do forget. It's
Mm,
not that I don't want, it's like either I
yeah.
don't have energy or I forget. So it's focus or there's something that comes up. So it's not on the list of my priority because if it would be, I wouldn't step or call my mom or take care of other things from other people, or
uh,
from family gathering or
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I know what mine is.
mhm,
Mine was to basically post regularly on social media. I was gonna
Hmm.
do like weekly posts for work. And yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't end up doing it. Like I did a little bit of it, but then my goals shifted throughout the year and I ended up just putting that all the way at the back of the priority list.
Oh,
so
I have another one.
yeah.
What?
Okay, journaling.
Oh,
I have a hard time sitting down, taking a pen and write it down. This is like really, this is probably something we could like investigate, this
Mhm.
probably related to one of my past lives, I'm pretty sure. Writing has to do, there's like,
Did I tell you
there's,
that I had one past life where I was okay? So I didn't know about this past life, but like I'm crazy about keeping books, I mean notebooks to journal ridiculous things. Like people journals on their reflection. This event gave me some, emotions or whatever, right? I'll be writing down about like today's a sunny day. I spent time with Sydney. I spent time with Annie, right? And then here is the stamp the stamp from the cinema ticket and stuff like that, right? And I'm just like, I have books and stacks of that, right?
Oh
Until
my gosh.
one day, this woman, I was in the class where and anybody who wants to have their past life read. And then I was just like, okay, I'm interested in having my past life read. And then she set me down. So in that class, how they learned to access the Akashic record is actually through the nape, the
Mm.
background. So she then put her hands there and she go, "Oh, do you have a lot of notebooks in your bag right now?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "Hmm. And you like to write down things about the weather and news?" I was like, "Not really news, but yeah, the weather for sure." And you go, "Yeah, you were once a historian and you were to note down everything in history. So be it like, village one had a fire, number of people died, what weather is it today? Did the rain come?" So that was my responsibility. So I must have died in my job or something.
You're just like, I'm still working.
I'm
That's
still working.
that's so good. Yeah, but I mean, like, what an incredible, like anthropological record as well of just like the daily life of a person in the 21st century.
Yeah. And then like I always tell myself like one day I will refer to them and then make a documentary about myself. But who
Uh,
cares on this
oh
day
my
and
gosh.
all that?
I
But yeah,
mean, in the future, it could be really good. Like, my great grandmother, she wrote all of these journals where it was just the local gossip and like what stores were carrying what clothes and who was wearing terrible clothes and who was wearing nice clothes and
oh
just like,
wow.
like very, and I remember getting those letters and looking through them like, wow, people never
Ah,
change.
wow. But yeah, so at least for me in that case, having that past life uncovered or discovered, I stopped writing crazy things about today's weather, what time did it rain, what time did it stop,
Hmm.
what time did the sun comes out. It was really it was a crazy period of my life. It's like every time
Hmm.
I go out, I have to buy a book or journal. I mean, a notebook.
Or
Yeah,
otherwise you run out of space.
that's right. So Annie, I'm not too sure about you not wanting to journal, if if that has got to do anything with one of your past lives.
I buy the books. I love them all. They look so lovely. The ones also for writing, I have like few of them. They're
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah, I have a lot of them still. Actually, it's just that I stopped writing. Start collecting instead. Yeah. So Sydney, you're saying for yours, if you link that back to a past life trauma, possible past life trauma.
Possible. I
Mm,
mean, I wouldn't know what it could be. I have a few memories in this life that I know are related just because they'll come up when I'm looking at social media or thinking about posting.
yeah.
But yeah, like growing up, as social media was starting to become a thing and the internet was starting to become a thing, my mom would always, initially it was blogs, right? Before social media, it was all
Okay.
blogs everywhere. And my mother would always say to me, like, oh, these people are so self-centered and small-minded, just talking about their own lives to the whole world on the internet. Like, who wants that? And that message is definitely very firmly
Mm,
lodged in my head, where I'll hear it even when it's not like I want to necessarily share about my personal life. I want to just share information and stuff related to my work. It's work purposes. But even then, it'll show up like, who really cares?
Mm.
And I just hear it like my parents are like, oh, like only really like yeah, only really self-centered, shallow people would post on the internet, which
No.
is so funny because like even my parents post on the internet now because it's great for work.
Yeah.
So now I'm here like, wow, my mom is absolutely crushing it, and I'm just like, wow, amazing.
It's just like this YouTube channel, whoever chance upon it, good luck, right? Like, we have chance upon the pot of gold, but we are posting. Whether
Yeah.
people watch it or
Yes.
not, we don't know. So just go ahead and do it, Sydney.
I
Yeah.
think I know why I am traumatized about writing.
Yeah.
And it happened. I told you. I think I did mention it already in a couple of weeks ago or whatever. As I was starting to write down the way I write is not very. You cannot read it properly. It's sometimes I cannot even recognize my own
Doctor's
handwriting.
handwriting?
Yes. So when I started to learn how to put all the letters together instead of how do you say when you write
Cursive?
together,
Yeah,
cursive?
cursive,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's how you call it. Okay, so when I learned it, it was so bad that one of my teachers like offended me in front of young people, it was a kindergarten class, and they yelled at me for about 1 or 2 minutes, and they were singing this song. It was like na 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 na. And from there, therefore, I was like totally traumatized that I was never able to write, I would say properly. The secondly is like each time I always had to mention like, my God, like you're writing like a doctor. My mom is like, could you like, there's always like something negative about it. And you know what? What just came up to me now, I had the first flare is that for me it was always difficult to do it earth way. But I think I was able to write probably always light language, and it's not the way I came with another writing. And somehow trying to adapt here was like
Mm.
um that's where I feel like this is the most painful thing. It's not just the song in the kindergarten. I just like realized that it was like, okay, I came with a gift, but I never could use it because it's like I was criticized from the beginning.
Hmm.
But yeah, even when I was like little, we started to like draw the first state, letters, and it was already, oh, you're pressing too hard. It's too dark. It's like, give it's like, okay, so I was like somehow forced, and you have to write. I had stencils to put under my and my under
Paper?
the sheet, under the paper. Yes, I had to write in a certain way. The nuns were telling us you're supposed to go like be 45 degrees. So literally forging my whole body into this, this way. So I think writing was something that blocked me from my
Journal.
energy. Yeah, not just
Hmm.
journaling. No, journaling as a being. It
Mm.
just like has reframed me to be me. And
So you
now I'm going to change that.
so you mentioned something about a possible past life as an alien life out of Earth,
Oh,
right? And then having a different language because there was a client who came to see me who actually gone through exactly the same thing. So
wow.
she came because she just couldn't understand, right? That she could interact and make friends, but the moment she needs to get on stage to promote her own things, like on social media or to talk about herself, all about to share the work that she did, she freezes.
Hmm.
It's so bad that very often somebody else will have to represent her, that in the end, all the work that she did was not credited to her, but instead credited to somebody else who represented her work. So she came to see me and she was like, I really want to understand why I couldn't do that, because life is fine. But of course, at the same time, she's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to fuss about it. If somebody else want to take the credit, go ahead, because it's my bad that I couldn't represent my own work. So this was a case for a hypnosis client. When I put her into hypnosis, one very interesting life came up. And this was a life where she has just transitioned from being a teacher in another planet. Was on a different planet. And then when she was transitioning, she went to the celestial courts. And this is the celestial courts where they needed to process, or administration have to process, where you go next for your next life, next adventure, next learning, and all that. And they posted her to Earth. And she was protesting. She said, I've never been to Earth before. I'm not from Earth, and I would not know the culture. And here's my task. My task and my mission is to bring gift of wisdom to Earthlings, to humanity. And I know nothing about Earth. I know nothing about humanity. Nobody's going to listen to me. I'm not going to even be able to speak a language that they understand. And then the administration is like, look, this is what it is. This is where you're going to go. So just suck it up and go. Right? So,
Not,
yeah.
Not cool.
no.
And she's like, no. And then she came to Earth, right? Not knowing why, but that was the last conversation she had with the admins before she got sent off. Like protesting, I'm not from Earth. How am I going to share my gift? I'm not going to be able to be out there. Nobody's going to understand me, and all that. And yeah, so that explained, when we uncovered that, that completely explained like why does she felt like, one, it is useless for her to stand on stage to share, or just even presentation in business meetings, right? Like why would she want to be on stage to talk when nobody's going to understand her anyway? And she would just freeze up because there's all that subconscious memory that remained in her. So very similar to you, where you felt writing is so unnecessary because your writing has been so traumatized and nobody's going to understand your writing because it's an alien writing, perhaps a light language writing. And Sydney, not too sure whether there's some similarities in the story that I just shared. Yeah, but I thought that was quite interesting. And after that, she was absolutely freed up to be able to represent herself. Her business could have grown a lot more when she was younger, but now she's starting to really be a trailblazer in the business that she's in.
I say you can start business at late. It doesn't matter because time is relative. She has this knowledge before, this awareness. As long as there's a lot of people, you can do a lot of business, but if the awareness of your own energy, well, it's my opinion right now, and my opinion on today's, but I mean, might as well be too late than nothing at all. And now that she has done the healing process, she could have like maybe her business grown, but this milestone would not have been in this life. I see it that yeah, sometimes it's better that you start business late and have all this everything that you have for your baggage.
Yeah,
what
I like about the work that we do is that when we heal it, we not only heal this life, we actually heal all the next life that's to come, right? Like, so it's just like, okay, we get the awareness. Sometimes it's just a little bit of awareness, you get the closure, and then you move on. So I just think that's the beauty of the work that we do, that once we learned it, we no longer need to self-sabotage or go through that self-doubt and that self-hate. Like, why didn't we achieve something? And we realize that there's other energies that is at play, then we're a bit more gentle with ourselves and love ourselves a bit more. for having come so far and overcame so much.
I
Hmm.
know a girlfriend, she started to train at 60. And now she's
Yeah.
doing bodybuilding and kettlebell, she's winning also. She's
Yeah.
going all around Germany. I don't know if she's going to go to Europe, and she's crushing it.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter. So that's the beauty about, age or not aging or whatever, or, anti-aging. But I think there's like you said, it's a beauty. It's like it's not just when you're on your 20s or 30s, like the healing process, you're not too old. Don't think that you're not going to grasp things, or your brain is not, doesn't run fast enough, or it's not about that. It's like, I think this is the beauty, is that you can do it now and unglue a lot of things, because preparing is for this life, and but also thinking about, like, oh, what the impact of the next lives.
Hmm.
What do we
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely. So a lot of our goals, sounding like there is the personal growth, fitness. What about relationship goals? I find that a lot of people find relationship goals to be so difficult, especially like those who wants to find a soulmates,
Mm.
right? Every year for those singles out there, they have that in their list that it's time for me to get married or I want to get attached. And then they go through that journey of needing to be vulnerable, to be open to a relationship. But then inside there is all the other chemistry, energy at
Mm.
play that is so hard for them to grasp and so hard for them to overcome.
Do you have thoughts, Annie? Because I feel like I'm not the right person for that. Because I'm like, I set my relationship goal. It happened the same year I said it. Like relationships, at least romantic ones, have always been pretty easy and straightforward for me. For me, it's the social ones because social, it's sort of the broader community and kind of like managing how to keep in contact with people. But yeah, when it comes to romantic relationships, what do you think?
My God, there are so many things that I'm thinking about now, like keeping relationship, or you already like keeping relationship also healthy. It's it's all of what you have and what you don't have. It sounds like if you want to have like new contacts or a new relationship, or even somebody in your to share your life, or many, a few of them will say many of them to share with their lives, as we are changing in the evolution of the mankind. I would say that depending on where you are at now, it's also keeping the relationship healthy, but starting with you. As I was younger, I was mostly latching out on other people, and not latching out, but I wanted to attack, and not to attack too. Or maybe I
Yeah,
did,
yeah,
but I
latch
was
on.
mostly, yeah, latch on, but I'm also holding on, grasping, like, be with me, please. And I'd say I didn't have any relationship with myself, like loving myself, nurturing myself, and that came a little bit later as for my experience. So that would by the way, this nurturing in the relationships I have, and it could be also a social one, um, is to keep on, because I realize as I'm traveling a lot of places in the world, also change, places or countries as I travel. I find it hard sometimes to there I was jealous when somebody said, like, they would say, "Oh, this is my my friend since kindergarten, or high school," and they always had a relationship. They see each other very often basis, and it's like, for me, there was like, I know people, I'm very close with them, boom, no more contact, because I'm elsewhere. Or I was in a boarding school, so I was there during the week, and on the weekend it was other people. So it's always adapting, but not necessarily nurturing, or going through life. So for me, it's like this year, one of my resolutions was like, okay, nurturing that. And so keeping contact, or, because there's people just as you see one of the posts like, oh, okay, this one is already, it could happen. I know you're young, but you know, when you see some postings like this one is already dead, or there's been an
Yeah,
accident.
it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is where it's mostly okay, you feel like, okay, there's this bond that needs to, that I want to, it's not needs to, but I want to give it more time, because time just seems to go through, especially when you have kids, or, you know, especially when you're investing yourself into a relationship, then you have less time. So yeah, social, it's a whole balance thing. We can continue for hours talking about that, but
Yeah, each individual like category that people are interested in, it's like an entire can of worms.
So I want
Oh,
to,
I guess I
yeah, go on.
like just that last point, which I feel like when I'm able to be successful with a particular category or intention is when I'm successful and when I'm not successful, it's how fun was I able to make it for myself. The ones where I'm constantly taking action when I'm like stressed and I'm like, I have to figure out like, no, I have to do this. Like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna feel like I'm failing. Those are the ones that are always so much harder and
The
feel like there's so much
resolutions.
more resistance. Whereas the ones where I'm not approaching it that way and I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun and like finding out how it works is fun and then trying things is fun. Those are the ones where it feels very easy and effortless. So I'll just leave it at
yeah,
that.
So that's for
change
the,
the moods and the vibration, huh?
Yeah.
so I want to talk about the relationships one where they didn't succeed, even though they actually wrote that down as part of their resolution. So I hear you that, Sydney, that relationship can be fun, right?
Yeah.
So they could actually make it a fun relationship and then fall in love that way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I remember there was this case that we worked on where she was a flower essence and
Hmm.
she didn't, and this is one of her first life as a human, and she didn't really understand the need to have only one relationship, because for the flowers they have relationship with everybody, with the whole flowers, right? All of them are friends and all of them they can propagate and grow with, right? So the concept of relationship was very different coming from the flower kingdom to the human kingdom. And one of the things that she was very deep questioning about herself is that all her sisters are getting married, they're all attached, and they all say you're so beautiful, and then you should also think about, settling down and getting married and all that. So there is that logical side to it, like, yeah, I should do that, right? But inside her, she just couldn't understand the need for it. So she's not against it, but she couldn't see the need for it. So there is a bit of conflict over
Mm.
there. So she did have that. If she did have that down as a New Year resolution, it would be very difficult because it's
Yeah.
something
I
innate
mean,
to
that
her.
even sounds like she doesn't seem particularly interested in it. It's like oftentimes we put stuff in our New Year's resolutions because it's like, well, it seems like this is the kind of thing that makes people satisfied, and I'm a person, so maybe I should also have this goal.
Yeah.
And maybe not.
Yeah. So that's also a lot of times that when we actually do our New Year resolution, it's so hard to write it without, I mean, like we write it and then we think about like, is it for my parents or is it for my peers or is it because it's an expectation that I should do that, right? Like
Yeah.
you're a civilized, educated human, so you should do this, right? Get married and have children, for example,
Mm.
right? So like there are things like this when you're writing down your resolution. So it's good to just use this time now to reflect upon it and say that is this something that I really want? But also people are using New Year resolution to set new goals for things that they know that they want but haven't have it written down to find a support group to achieve it. Now that is something that I do find if I have like a support group to do it, it's so much easier. I remembered when I started on a raw food journey, it's just because I wanted to experience a different diet, to have different forms of nutrients. It started my biohacking days, right? And then we found this group of raw foodies, right, who talk about all the nutrients and all the health benefit. And I actually kept at it for at least a year because there is a group, who talks about new recipe and then all the good nutrients that come with it and all that, right? Until I found that being part of a raw foodies group, we become so judgmental of everybody else who ate
Oh
good
no.
food. Like, hey, just forget it.
Uh,
Nice.
So if we use this opportunity now to reflect about like if there's one goal we think we're going to achieve this year, the New Year resolution goal, which one do you think you are going to achieve?
wow. Which one do I think I'm gonna achieve?
Like you may be a high achiever, achieve everything though. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm like, want everything away.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a lot of resolutions that I don't achieve. Like weight loss goals, for example. Impossible. There's too much good food out there,
Maybe it's
right?
not worth it, you know?
Yeah, so in the end, I have to change it to like a health goal of like, just ensuring that I get the good nutrients, keeping my body fit. Just forget about the weight. It's not important. Because what is
Yeah.
the number, right? What is the number? It's about keeping a healthy lifestyle, and having fun, as you said.
Yeah,
So
as long as your health markers are fine, if your weight isn't a priority, then it's not a priority.
yeah.
Okay. For me, I think for this year, Um, there's two I think that I'll definitely be able to achieve. One of them is regarding like just my financial life and investing. Starting to basically set up the long-term system for that. I I can definitely do that this year. And the other one is sort of like career and business related, where I want to start working less as a solo operator and start to bring in um, at least one freelancer to assist with delivering on the services that I offer. So I'm like, okay, I can definitely do those too. Um, yeah, but that's kind of, scratching the surface. So hopefully more than that, but I'm pretty confident about the others, the
That
ones I
does
just
these
said.
goals scare you?
Um, they used to scare me, like the thought of hiring someone, even a freelancer, used to be really intimidating to me because I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like responsible for someone else's paycheck. So, yeah, that one has been something that I've been like working on over time where I'm just like, you know what? It's fine. I've now seen like so many other people around me hire. I'm feeling a lot more like, okay, I have support around me if I ever run into like questions or problems. And so that really helps me to just feel a lot more chill and have a lot more fun with it.
Oh, that's awesome. I know you're going to achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Support is such a huge deal. Like you said with the group,
Mm.
to like keep that stress low when you know that you have people around that you can ask questions and not just, the faceless void of the internet, even though it does have a lot of information. Sometimes it's just so much better when you know that you have an actual living person in your life that you can
Oh,
talk to about it.
it makes a big
Mm.
difference.
Huge
Awesome.
Ac-
difference. Yeah.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what about
Cool.
you, Annie?
I'm starting my company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have new skills I have learned last year and I want to try them out. I already have new clients, so I'd like to find a cute little place where I can do more hours. I'm planning, I changed already my hours for my present job too, to have space. I will also learn new skills, get my licenses here in Germany, and yeah, this is here meanwhile checking out how's my I asked for the German residency, so let's see how it goes. I have to check on a regular base.
Mm.
If not, yeah. So this is already those three, or will keep me busy.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And does these goals scare you?
No, actually, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. For myself, I think it's always been the same, and I think I've been keeping consistency at it, and it's definitely to grow the holistic clinic. So one of the first thing that I'm gonna do this year, is actually going to trademark this modality. So I was toying with some names and some ideas about what to call this modality. And
Yeah.
because I'm a gamer, there's one of the in-game names that I've been using, starts with QAE. And then I was then toying with the modality name, and the name came up is going to be QAE. So it's going to be along the lines of quantum, either alchemy or alignment energy for the work that we do. So that's going to be one of the first thing that I'm going to check off and achieve in this year's New Year resolution, and that's trademarking the modality of the work that we've been doing. So I'm really excited, because definitely kudos to all of you to understand it at this such an innate level that we're able to continue to build on it and develop it into a modality. So I'm super, super excited. So yes, working on the trademark.
Yes.
Exciting.
But
Yeah.
definitely scares me, right?
Mm,
All the things that we have to do that comes with the trademark, and then
right.
sharing this modality bigger, with more people, so that more people can benefit from it. So that's sincerely one of my big goals for this year. Scary. Yeah. I guess
You'll
before
have
we
it.
end, shall we bring in messages from the whoever wants to come through, whoever who has joined us and
I
wants to.
feel like Annie will have something.
No, it's funny that you say that. I'm not feeling well. Content.
Yeah.
I thought you would be the one.
I have my messages. Keep it fun, have people around you who you know will have your back and that you can talk about the goal to, and keep it chill. Don't be aggressive with yourself. Try to be gentler if that's your tendency, is to try to steamroll yourself into a change. Those are my 3 points as a summary.
I love it. So good. Okay,
I'm
go.
picking up a fairy.
Oh, bring in the fairy.
Yes.
Unicorns and fairies. Um, Good evening.
Good evening.
So you've been chatting about having fun and yes, writing down goals and the challenging that comes up to sticking to what you have promised yourself to do. It's not about unsolving problems or solving problems. It's about not resisting. It's about gaming. It's about enjoying the process of learning something new. As you write down your goals, you are putting wishes on paper or thinking about it like Annie does. And this is like fairy does. This is actually something that is a wishful thought that you want to experience and take to actions and create it, like creating babies. So as you are birthing this kind of energy, trying to assess new skills or obtaining physical goals or learning new skills, you are
Evolving.
going through evolution. Yes.
Oh,
You're mostly sad when you don't reach your targets, and the deceptions brings your vibrations low. What is holding you back is actually deceptions and sadness and depression. Is how about writing down almost every month a new list to readjust instead of postponing, keeping you into the groove? Humans, you are being sometimes too serious. It is much more lighter than you think. Actually, you think too much. We wish for you that you would be more delighted of the experience of being human, also knowing that you can create not just the experience, but you can birth so many things, so much energies shaping. You are talented more than you think. Are you open to it?
Absolutely. Great suggestion. Thank you so much, Fairy.
Thank you.
I like your suggestion to review our resolution every month.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah, every 4
Mhm.
weeks.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about it, but I was like, that used to be my thing with New Year's. I'm like, it can be New Year's whenever you want to, change directions or remind yourself of what's going on or what you want to move your focus to. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's really good.
Sydney.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
they are telling you, Sydney, that that's why we have a full moon every month to remind
Mm,
us. It disappears, it comes back. It disappears, it comes back.
yeah.
So our list should be like that too, following a cycle.
Wow, I love that. I'm learning so much from this fairy about how we should be looking at the goals and the things we want to achieve. I love that. Beautiful. Do we have somebody else want to come through?
They're definitely taking on the mics. They are so strong. Okay, the unicorns are in.
And we have a lot of very
Oh,
playful, very
I love that.
fun energies coming.
We're ready to embark as you are. Are you ready to jump in as we will support you? We are real. We're not just in the books. We are there all around you. You might not see us or feel us or even know we're there, but we want to kindly remind you that we love you so much and are ready to embark whenever you are.
And what would you do for us or do with us, unicorns?
We are lifting you up. We are asking you kindly to embark and jump as we are following the rainbows and rays. We're here to elevate you in your thoughts, in your emotions, and also in your physical energies. We're there all the time. We are there to change the rapidness or the speed of your own, what you call thoughts. Actually, it's another type of energies, which also, how do you say that? The thoughts are just one of them. It's whatever you feel, the feelings, the thoughts, and the energies that you are connecting. We are there also to bring connectedness in between other humanities. We are basically embarking on one of the race and following and going through dimensions. We support many legends, delegations, and different realm families.
Thank you, Unicorn. Lovely to work with you.
We are big friends with dragons, legions too.
So beautiful. Thank you for telling us that.
You were expecting me now. Merlin here.
Hi, Merlin. It's been a
Have you had?
while.
I'm always there with you. You have a tendency sometimes to forget about me. I'm not here to point out a nigger or anything. I'm just here to make little jokes about that. But somehow I know that recently you have thought of me. You had requests. Go on, ask.
The request is what magic will you bring for us in this year 2025? That's my request. Any request from you, Sydney?
Just to share with us your favorite concepts around transformation, the alchemy of transformation.
Well, 2025 will be very, from my eyesight, is just a half a second. The most important thing is to be connected, stay connected. The magic relies on meditation or the force and stability, and also being consequently always trying being in the synergy and energy. We are most likely changing and switching dimensions and also corpse. We are embarking into and sliding in between, I would say, edges, and like tectonic plates are sometimes rubbing each other. They are creating some conflicts, but it creates another synergy. So the magic relies on how stable you can stay, even though the earthquake is shaking. The magic relies on knowing, trusting, and connecting. The magic relies on you forging, creating, and multiplying your own family, your clinic. It's about also believing that everything will take space and take place in its own time. The milestone has already started. You are already in between those very shifting times, and it will be one after the other. It is so ground shaking that you don't even notice that one is happening after the other. It is multiple changes, multiple layers, multi dimensions. As you are creating this new magic, you are creating your own magic. You are creating a magic that hasn't been or seen so far. We are observing you, and for my counterpart, I really appreciate and am mostly very proud on how you handle things, by the way, and how you humbly accept to and submit to support this allegiance, this notorious energy challenges. He's speaking so fast. I'm sorry. I'm just like,
Tell him to
but
slow down, Merlin.
oh,
English,
but
not my first language.
I don't know if it's like an old English or whatever, but but mostly, uh, so the magic relies on you being stable, you being present, you being there at every time, every moment, every time, every day, every morning, every thought that you choose to see with awareness. The more awareness, the more magic. It is absolutely as simple as that. Awareness, the key. Now, switch the awareness, not just the physical one, the spiritual one, the loved ones, the different layers ones. That is the magic. And you are creating a new field. Now, will you leave you to that information as you are creating your own lab? I will be always out of reach if you need assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Merlin. Thank you, Annie, for that beautiful channeling. Thank you. Well, I didn't realize that message was to Violet Ray. But yeah, it's definitely moved my heart quite a bit.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't do it without any of you. All of you are the alchemy of it all coming together. And we definitely should, pat ourselves on the back for all the things that we have achieved, things that we have learned, and the souls that I'm grateful that we have a chance to be given the chance to help them. I was having that conversation with somebody before that for all the gift that we have, if we don't have a chance to share it, then that gift is not shared. Then there's no gift. So sometimes we are, I guess, too self-absorbed about ourselves, and we don't think about somebody else who needs to give us the chance to shine, to give a chance for us to heal, to give a chance for us to share our gift. And we all play a role that way. Sometimes we give people a chance and people give us a chance. And that's the thing with New Year for me this year that I have observed and learned, is that it is really a win-win and an energy of flow this way, that we accept and we give, we accept and give. So sometimes there are people who said that, no, I don't want to accept charity, support, or anything from others. And when we don't do that, we don't give people a chance to show their goodness, their kindness, that their gift actually makes a difference. And that is one of the things that actually I didn't realize it was a resolution, but it was something that I want to continue to honor and recognize, to give people that chance, because I have benefited from so many things, for people giving me the chance, that I want to give people the chance as well, so that there is that energy of flow, and that everybody have an opportunity as well. So yeah, I hope that's not too serious to end on, dear unicorns and fairies. It's
That's
all
lovely.
fun. Yeah. So thank you, Sydney, for that beautiful takeaway. That tree summary that you had. Do you want to repeat them? Because I
Oh
can't.
my gosh. If you just
Just
hit the
rewind.
bar of the
It was
rewind.
dropping gems. Our dear Sydney was dropping gems.
Uh, well, I
Yeah.
mean, I have one more thing since you were talking about, us being able to give each other chances um and to receive that when people give us a chance and give us an opportunity. I think it's also important to give ourselves a chance and as many as we need because, as long as you're still in this life, there's always room to play, there's always room to explore and to just try one more time, you know? until the life ends, there you can always try again.
Yeah. And as what Merlin said, 2025 is a blink of the eye, is that 1 second from the
Yeah.
film stills. So why not just play all out? Give it all out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Go on.
I just wanted to say, I think the fairies and the unicorns came up because I think we are sometimes being too hard on ourselves. Like we're too serious when we write down our,
Yes.
Yeah.
our goals and on the like this is it, and I think that's like it should be a little bit more light. We should have like more actually. When you said Sydney, it was like having more fun
Yeah.
and being curious and just see what the
Yeah.
outcomes are. I think taking action is probably very often like we're not taking action when there's a blockage. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for all your gems that you've been dropping, and thank you, Annie, for your channeling today. We will close this session today, but sending all our love and energy to everyone for having an epic 2025.
Yep.
Yeah, heart to heart. We're just gonna close the circle, sending all love to all who joined us and all dissenting brothers and sisters, celestials, the elementals. Today we had the unicorns and fairies taking the mic, and of course Merlin, who works closely with them. Thank you. Sending all our love to everyone. I now pronounce the circle close. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to end the live here.